Okay, I don't know if we're recording. I hit record, but it didn't hit me with the 3, 2, 1 type shit.
The shit says starting. Oh, okay. Now it says you're recording the call. Before it said starting recording.
Yeah.
So if it hit you with
Now.
that shit for dumb long, we probably would have recorded. Did we ever record for mad long and then at the end you were? I feel like that happened once.
Yeah, I think it happened. I don't know if it was I thought we were recording, but we weren't, or if like there was some glitch in it or something, but there were definitely issues in the
Th-
past. I don't know if it's the exact same scenario though, you know?
Yeah, that's like one of the hardest things for me. I don't know. I haven't like recorded much shit, but when I used to do like when I was heavy into my podcast shit on YouTube and I would like record with people. There was a couple times I think my Wi-Fi was fucked up and I was like, yeah, we'll just like record it again. But we like went through the whole like interview conversation shit and then it didn't get recorded. It was choppy. And the hardest thing I had to do was like have a conversation with someone and like because you want to talk about new shit if it didn't work. And it's just like super hard to try and like redo something that you already did. So like the person was like, yo, we ever gonna redo the shit? And I was like, kind of fuck you, because like it's not your fault, it's my internet's fault, but I don't want to have to rethink of shit to ask you. And then as I'm thinking of the shit to ask you, I'm gonna be like thinking of that first interview and your answer. So I'm gonna, like it's just mad hard to like redo a whole conversation you had if it wasn't recorded or something. For me.
No, I think it's somewhat universal because I feel the same way. It's like it's the magic of authenticity. The first
Mm-hmm.
time you have the conversation, the thoughts pop into your mind a certain way and they
Mm-hmm.
come out in like a very pure, unfiltered way. And then if you
Exactly.
try to rehab the conversation,
Yep.
it's like your brain is caught between the stuff that you said last time and what
Yep.
you're going to say this time. And you're almost the problem is you become like too self-conscious in those
Yep.
moments.
Yep.
Whereas you have the best conversations when you're not self-conscious at all and you're just sort of letting the conversation flow.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. It's kind of related to like what you're describing is kind of like the way I've done my show throughout the years.
Mm-hmm.
There are times that I've done it live. There are times I did it like not live. There are
Mm-hmm.
times I used to record 2 shows in one day. I would record one for the radio show live, and then I'd do separate YouTube segments that weren't live. And so I'd do like the same show twice, but it would be
Oh,
one for the radio, one for
damn.
and yeah, and you get a good sense of like what the tendencies are when you record it, live versus not. I've always been a bigger fan of like you need to either be live or just have a deadline that's like you only get one shot at this
Yep.
because it
Yep.
has to go up, at the end of the hour or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
so that puts pressure on you where it forces you to like you got to flow with whatever comes out of your mouth. You can say the
Exactly.
dumbest shit ever, but then you have to be like, "Damn, I just said the dumbest shit ever." You know,
Exactly.
you got to like humanize it in a way, you know?
Yep. Yeah. No, I mean, but it's weird because it doesn't work like that really with anything else. Like almost with food or coffee, like you need a coffee filter. You need some shit to filter out all the bad stuff to make it taste better. But with words, it's almost like unfiltered is almost better now because you get just the authentic, like funniness, or like even if it's a fuck up, it could come off as like, oh, but he's being genuine. Whereas if someone was cooking and they just left your chicken raw as fuck and didn't like season it and filter out all the shit, you'd be sick and you'd probably die.
I'd rather be like authentically dumb on some shit than like overly calculated and right.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So, we haven't done a podcast in a hot minute. I
OD hot minute. I had to dust
OD
off
hot
all
minute.
my shit.
What'd you say?
I had to dust off all my shit. My headsets were even like, fuck you. Like, we're not gonna work. I had to find some new shit. Fuck iPhone, fuck Apple, because their shit should work forever. Because it's like a headset that you plug into some shit, and the fact that it doesn't work is just fucking dumb as fuck.
Yeah, have you ever tried to plug a non-Apple like charger into an Apple phone and it just like stops working within like 7 seconds and you're like,
Them shits that you buy at like the gas station that are like $7.
yes, yes.
I actually, surprisingly, I was going to Mohegan Sun one time with my dad, and I needed like a phone charger. I think we were going for the weekend or something. and which was weird because my dad would never gamble, and I don't know why he was going to the casino with me. But I bought a car phone charger from some random ass gas station, and I think I had that shit for like 10 years. And then one day I bought it while I like lived in New Rochelle, and then I moved to Chicago, still had the shit in the car, and then it like completely died on me one day. And I almost like had like a burial service for that shit. Like it was like my dog or something, because it like I had so much respect for it, because I remember buying that shit at a gas station because I had forgotten my charger that day. And I almost wanted to like pay my respects in the proper way for that charger, because like it did me so much justice. And like, so shout out to that random ass gas station wherever I bought that shit in like Connecticut, because they were selling some good ass phone chargers. And usually you buy those things and they fucking, yeah, to your point, work for like 27 seconds and that shit dies out OD fast.
Dude, whatever company made that specific charger that you had is like the only company that sells these aftermarket chargers where it works. Because I've had so many instances of like, and they get creepy, and they make chargers that try to make you think it's an Apple one, but it's not an Apple one.
Yep.
And there are times like I have to basically wrestle my phone to get it plugged in at night, and then if you move it like a quarter of an inch, it stops working. There are times you plug it in, it's working, you leave it on your table, and then you wake up the next day and you got like 7% battery because it stopped working in the middle of the night. Like I've had so many issues with those like aftermarket chargers.
How about the shit that it's definitely an iPhone charger? Like it's a clear iPhone charger. The shit like is for an iPhone. It fits in your shit perfectly. And then there'll be a pop-up on your screen that's like, iPhone does not support this cable or some shit. And I'm like,
oh my God.
The fuck it doesn't. Like I bought this shit and it said iPhone charger on it, and it'll work. To your point, if you kind of jiggle that shit a little bit, and then 2 seconds later it's like iPhone doesn't support this shit. I'm like, why don't you support this shit? If there's a pop-up coming on my screen because of the shit that I'm plugging in, you're supporting the shit.
Yeah, like the fact that you're telling me that it's not working means it's working, at least to the extent you know it's in the phone.
Exactly.
Remember when there was that big ass scandal around Apple where they basically admitted like, yeah, if you got an old model of the phone, like we just slow it down after like 2 or 3 years. Remember that?
Them. Yes.
And then
I've been saying that shit since '88. So when they came out, that was my stamp of approval of like my fucking saying that shit is validation.
But did they never like fix that? Did they just say it and then everybody was like, all right, I guess if you have some old shit, it's just slower. Like I feel like they never tried to fix it.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think they kind of just OG came out with some statement and people just accepted that shit.
Yeah, because that's messed up. I'm like, I actually like a lot of Apple products. Like I've always been a bigger fan of like MacBooks than I am of like PC laptops and stuff. But like that's one of those things where it's like, come on, man. They do it on purpose to try to force you to get some new stuff, but it's like, don't do that. This is supposed to be, because I'm the type of person, I don't know how you are with technology stuff, but I'm the type of person where if I get something,
shit.
I'm gonna run it into the ground. Because there are some people who like every time there's a new iPhone that comes out, or every time there's a new laptop or iPad, they're just like, I need to go get this right now. And I never understood that because the phone is so intimate to you. Like you know exactly where your apps are. You know exactly how to use your specific phone. Like you got whatever size it is, the size that fits in your hand.
Yep.
Pause. But you know what I'm saying? Like for people that always like, I'm gonna get a new phone every year or two. It's like, why? I guess they must just be obsessed with technology, you know?
Yeah, people are just groupies. Like the people that just stand online. Like I'll get the new iPhone when I'm kind of forced to get that shit.
Me too.
To your point, like my phone has kind of run its course and Molly's like, hey, we got an upgrade. So I'm like, all right, let me get like the new shit, whatever it is. Like, what number are we at? Let me get that. But I'm not going out of my way when the new shit drops. Well, when the new shit drops, I kind of think to myself, like, when is our upgrade? Because I would like to get that shit. Knowing damn well that I don't utilize any of the shit that the fucking new phone probably comes out with.
Yeah.
But I still kind of have always just been like, I need that new shit because everyone else is going to have that new shit. And it's some type of shit that I can probably get. It's not some like pie in the sky, only fucking billionaires. It's kind of like how regular ass people get Starbucks. We can all afford some Dunkin' Donuts shit, But since like the Kardashians could get Starbucks, like we could get Starbucks too. So we all go get Starbucks.
Starbucks is like glorified milkshakes. It's like milkshake coffee. You know, like
Yeah.
they make some delicious chocolate milk tasting coffee or some like caramel tasting coffee. Like the whole appeal of Starbucks is that this isn't really coffee, but it's like a little bit like coffee.
Yep. And their coffee is kind of ass cheeks too. Like it's not even really like it's I think it's rare. I've never really heard it as anybody going in there and just being like, let me just get a black coffee, you know?
Nah, everybody's always getting, let me get some mocha.
Some vente, you know,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Trenta
And
Cappuccino type of shit.
you know about the cup sizes at Starbucks? You know how they have like I forget exactly how it goes. It's like the large is the small or something, or the grande is the small, or like they got some weird cup size thing where it's not intuitive. Like
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? Like they don't have small,
Yeah.
medium, large. They just hit you with like, you want the grande, you want the dick sucker,
I'm
or you
trying to
want
think
the
of the shits now
flappy
too.
ass cheeks.
Vente's one.
Grande's another, right?
Grande's another. Yeah, I don't know what their small shit is, but I kind of, even though I like know that their shit isn't small, medium, or large, I always hit them with like the let me get a medium shit because I don't like, I still kind of got to hold on to like I'm just getting a medium coffee.
No,
You
I
know, like I
respect
don't give them
you.
the validation of letting them change the way a fucking size coffee should be.
No, exactly. You don't get to reinvent some basic ass
Exactly.
shit.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
don't get to be like, nah, we're just declaring that this is something different. It's like,
Yes.
no, it's small, medium, and like that's just a description of the
Yes.
size of the shit. You can't like override the description of reality.
I think there's two categories of like sizing. So like coffee, it's got to be just small, medium, or large. Extra large is kind of not even it's in its own. Like extra large comes into play with sodas. For ice cream, I feel like old school, it's always just been like, let me get a single scoop, a double scoop, or like triple scoop is kind of a fucking diesel ass like scoop of ice cream. But like single, double, triple, I feel like has been the ice cream category for OD long. And then coffee has been like a small, medium, or large. So yeah, you can't just come through with your business and be like, we're going to name this shit Grande, Vente, and whatever else they call the shit.
Yeah, no, you just can't do that because they think the thing that annoys me about it is they think they're being like geniuses. They think it's like brilliant. Like, what if we rename it this, and this? And it's like, this isn't some reinvention category. Like, there's some things you just can't reinvent.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I
Like,
don't know. And it's weird that they like chose Spanish to fucking reinvent the shit because they were like out in Oregon or Seattle.
oh, I don't know,
Seattle.
but the dude who runs the company is a dick.
He is,
Howard
right?
Schultz.
Is
Yeah,
he still runs the shit?
So he left or he was let go at one point, and then he
Mhm.
came back. And the reason they brought him back is because the workers were trying to unionize.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was like, nah, like I'm here to put an end to that. And it's messed up because they try to pretend like, oh, Starbucks, we're like a really forward-looking company. We're really progressive. And then the second their workers are like, oh, we're going to unionize and we want like higher wages and better working hours. And then they're like, no, that's no, we're going to crack down on that. So they're just total hypocrites.
Going back to the fucking iPhone shit for a second. Did you see this shit in Congo or whatever? Is there like a real rock that like is like battery charged or some shit, or is that fake as fuck?
So are you talking about like the cobalt thing?
I don't know. There was like a video of some guy like holding a rock and it was like throwing it on another rock and it was like battery charged or some shit.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I thought what you were saying. I thought you were asking about like what goes into the iPhone.
Oh
and
no, there was
what's
like
used to
some
make the
rock
battery and stuff.
that like they found in the Congo or some shit. But it was just a video. It could have been fake. And he was like, first he was putting like a spark up to it or something, and it was like it looked like it was battery charging. And then he was like throwing it up another rock. I don't know what the fuck it was.
Bro, you got to watch better YouTube channels.
No, I'm telling you, that shit's gonna get fed to you now, and you're gonna be like, damn, there's some crazy rock in the Congo that's like fucking gonna change the world.
It probably is going to get fed. It probably is going to get fed to me now because there are so many times now where Crystal and I will be having a conversation.
Yep.
And then I'll just get recommended something that like I've never typed in to Google before. So it's like obvious that they're spying on us, you know?
Yeah.
Like
I feel
I
like
mentioned,
that shit happens more than ever now. Like they're like I feel like they cranked it up a little bit, and then we kind of like whoever was in charge of the spying was like, yo, just fucking crank that shit up full notch and just listen into people's conversations way more now, because I think we can get away with it. And now more than ever, like, they're fucking spam calling like crazy. They're spying like crazy. They're feeding you shit that you talk about more than ever, because I think it's like the Wild West right now of just like spying.
Yeah, so I could like freak people out with, so I forget the exact product, but I'll give like one that's similar level type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So Crystal and I were in the kitchen having a conversation, and it's somehow in the conversation, I think I mentioned the cereal Wheaties.
Yeah.
And I've never once in my life bought Wheaties. I've never talked about Wheaties. I've never Google searched anything about Wheaties. I've never YouTubed a video on. I've never done anything with it. Somehow, I don't remember how it came up, but it came up. That actually wasn't the product, because I don't remember exactly what the product was, but it was like that level type thing, like sort of obscure, like everybody knows what it is, but nobody really cares about it, you know?
Yep.
And then the next time I go on Amazon, I get like a recommendation for Wheaties.
Yeah.
And I was like, bro, what? They're straight up listening. They're listening to you fart. They're listening to you shit. They're listening to you fuck. They're listening to you arguing. They're listening to everything you're doing.
Bro, did you see, I sent this shit to you, and my sister kind of got real mad at him, but there was the guy, and this is fucked up because our world is super fucked up, but he like murdered his wife, and then he was in court, and they read back to him the shit he Googled right after.
I saw that.
It's like fucked up to laugh about it. And I kind of said to Jed and Davina, I was like, low key, I would have Googled the same exact shit. but and my sister was like, well, then you're an idiot. I'm like, fucking people Google everything. I mean, like, so whether you're saying it out loud, people are typing shit into Google, like, there's ways to get caught for fucking everything you do. But the Alexa shit is like number one. That shit must listen on so many conversations. And there's been times, and there's shit that happens with like my daughter's baby monitor one time was like picking up signals, like, I don't even know where the signals were from. I think it was like from houses down on our block, but you could hear some guy like saying just regular ass shit on like
yeah, no, it's radio waves. That's why.
Yeah.
You get the same thing with, like, you could pick up police radio signals and stuff on those things.
Yes, it's so fucking weird because like you just don't know. There was one time there was a couple having a conversation in their house, and then like another couple heard the shit, I feel like, and they knew the couple, and I think they were like talking shit. It's just weird. Like I get so paranoid that like I don't end calls, or like, you know, like work calls are over and I start talking shit, and then like I'll be like, oh shit, the call's still on, or like the microphone's still on, or like the fact that people have to cover their laptop cameras when their shit is off just because like they're worried that someone's spying is crazy.
Yeah. It's like when that dude, remember when that CNN guy, Jeffrey Toobin, beat off on the CNN like group call? You remember that?
No, what?
You don't remember this? Oh my God, it was a huge story. This was like 2 years ago.
It was during the pandemic. On a CNN call?
Yeah, so let me explain what happened. So it was, I want to say it was like 2 years ago. It was during like the heart of the pandemic. CNN had some like internal meeting with everybody on a Zoom call, and Jeffrey Toobin is one of like the contributors, so he was on the call, and he thought it was either just before the call or just after the call. He thought he had turned off his camera.
Oh no.
But he didn't turn off his camera, and homeboy whipped out his meat and started jerking off.
Oh no.
So wait, it gets better. You ready for this? So CNN, they like fire him. I don't know if they fire him or if it was like, you know, we're suspending you or whatever, but like they were like, okay, you can't work for the company anymore, bro.
Yeah.
And then like a year later, they were like, all right, we're going to rehire you.
I mean, kind of respect to them for rehiring him, but damn. Did they show the video? Did he like finish? Did he realize he was beating his shit? Like,
I don't know. I don't think anybody knows the specifics except everybody who was on the phone call with CNN. Like, I don't know how much detail was given to the media. I don't know if you could see his shit or not, But like, there's been stories like this. Do you remember there was some like YouTuber or Twitch person or whatever who same thing happened? Like they thought their camera was off, but it was on, and they were beaten off, and you could only like you could see their face and like I guess like their like chest, but thankfully the belly and the dick was below the camera, so you couldn't see it, but you could tell clearly the dude was beaten off.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, terrifying.
Yeah, there's some shit that like I kind of I've seen some more recently that I could definitely tell are fake as fuck because all the people in the like screen look like actors and they're trying to make their shit go viral, and they're like, Rick, your camera's on, and I'm like, this shit's definitely some scripted shit that they're just trying to make go like crazy. But there was definitely some OG original shits of people like that dude from CNN who were just trying to beat their shit during the pandemic.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
we're still on a call.
How many times? So I know somebody who accidentally sent like a sexy picture to their mom.
Oh.
How many, like in history, it has to happen. I would argue probably every single day.
Yeah.
Somebody accidentally sends a tit pic, a pussy
100%.
pic, an ass pic, or a dick pic to their parents.
Yeah, that one's rough. I feel like you're right. That one has to happen a lot. And the worst is probably the reverse. If you got one from your parents, would be fucking traumatizing as hell.
No.
I don't know how I'd live with that forever. It'd be painful.
Bro. Okay, so here's my theory on this, because you hit on something mad true right now. If you're a parent, it has to be your life mission for your kids to think forever that you're asexual.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they need to think like, no, my parents never do that, never did that. Like, that is only the right thing. Like, nobody wants to have the thought of their parents getting freaky.
Yep.
Because even the thought of it is traumatizing. Never mind if, like you said, some shit happened where like your dad accidentally sends you a dick pic. Oh my God. Oh.
I think you could overcome a dad sending a son a dick pic. I don't think you can ever overcome if your mom fucked up and sent some shit. Like, that'd be like some like, mom, sign the agreement, I can never speak to you again type shit. Like, the dad sending this shit, you could almost be like, all right, who are you sending it to? Like, if your parents are divorced or some shit. But like, if they're still together, you could question it a little bit too. But the dad sending this shit is almost like, all right, that's what you're hanging with your whole life? All right. But if not, the mom is on some worse shit. But if a dad sent their shit to the daughter, it would be even worse. Like, you'd have to get arrested, one, and then shot in the face.
I got stories, man. My dad, my mom and dad split up when I was like, I don't know, 11 or 12, something like that. And so, after my dad had like left the house, he became less of a dad and more of like, he thought he was my friend type stuff, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so there would be times where like, we'd be out doing something or whatever, and he'd hit my shoulder like, hey, bro, look at her over there. He'd point to some woman, and I'd be like, oh, this is weird, don't you? And he used to, I still remember to this day, one of the things he said that traumatized the shit out of me, especially because like I don't even relate to what he was saying, but he was like talking about some woman he thought was hot, and he was like, her legs went on for days. And I was like, first of all, what are you into, some stilt ass bitches? Like, legs going on for days is not something I think like, oh, that's attractive as hell.
Your horse?
Like, yeah, what is are you attracted to Dikembe Mutombo? Like, what are you talking about? Is it Yao Ming you're attracted to? Like, and then it's like he I guess he liked, the body type of like skinny legs, like skinny hips, and I was like, I don't relate to that. Like, that's low key, that is like not really masculine tastes, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like my tastes are way more masculine than that. Like, I want to see some hips on the shit, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I don't know. It's definitely a weird progression of life, like turning the corner of not being a kid anymore, but kind of like your parents realizing that like they're getting older. So like your relationship has to change of like what you talk about. And especially if your parents are divorced, like I've gone through this kind of with my dad right now too, and just with my brother and sisters, like opening up more. Like the conversations change now. You know, it's like, oh, I once dated a woman from this part, you know, from here, and I'm like, all right, like we don't really have to talk about all that shit. You know, like it's just, it's like, I don't know, it's just a weird part of life because you're so used to them being your parent that now like the conversations are changing to more just normal shit. You know, like whether it's even just like the first time you start like cursing with your parents, where that wasn't allowed when you were a kid. And it's just like, I don't know, it's just different. And like you kind of have to adjust to it and realize like they're just a normal ass person too. So like your dad sees you as now his boy, so he wants to talk to you about a girl. So you have to change your mindset to be like, all right, I'll take what he's saying. It's kind of weird, but I'll fuck with him on it for a second, but then let him know like, all right, dad, cool. And then on to the next shit. So like you kind of like acknowledge they're saying this shit, but also let them know like, save that shit for your boys.
Yeah, no, like I hear what you're saying. Like the conversations change is kind of weird, but like I'm just anti that. Like I don't like that. That's not,
Same.
you know what I'm saying? Like so now I'm gonna be a stepdad, and like I know that that's my role in that position. You know what I'm saying? So like I'm gonna play the role of the stepdad. Like that's what I'm signing up for. You know, and if you're a dad or you're a mom, like you should always be mom or dad. It's got to be. Now, that doesn't mean you can't talk about real shit from time to time, but when talking about real shit, it's got to be like, I am the dad figure, and I am going, you know what I'm saying?
So there'll never be a point, you don't think, if you're like with like the oldest son and you see some girl with a fat ass, and it's not even on some like you're hitting on her shit, just on some like, damn, she got a fat ass.
Never in a million years.
Yeah, I guess that's one you kind of got to keep to yourself.
Of course, yeah, that's not, it's different, bro. Like, we got roles, like, you're my best friend. I'm your best friend. We talk about best friend shit. The shit you say to me is not going to be the shit you say even to Davina, and you're close with Davina. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's a good ass point. You're right. Yeah. Damn, yeah, I didn't look at it that way. My sister's one of my closest friends, but I would never tell her some chick got a fat ass.
It's just totally different roles. Like, people got to be comfy. Like, find your role, dog. Like, if you don't want to be a dad or you don't want to be a mom, okay, bet. Then, but that's cool. Do some other shit, you know? But if you're going to sign up for the dad role or the mom role, like, do that shit when, and it doesn't mean that, like, when you step out of the room, like, yeah, you're still dad, but, like, you're allowed to take the dad role, like, step out of the dad role when you're not in dad mode doing dad shit with the kids. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Then you switch to husband mode when you're with your wife, or you switch to, you know, best friend mode, or you switch to employee mode, or business owner mode, or whatever it is. Like, that's, you know, people do this throughout the day, but we don't even think about it because it's almost like with an automatic car versus a manual car. Like, manual car, you got to change gears yourself. Automatic car, it just automatically changes the gears for you, so you don't have to worry about it. It's like, that's what it's like in life. When you go into one room, it's one thing. When you go into another room, it's another thing. And that's not being two-faced or being, you know, not authentic. It's just like you are authentically in different roles each time you enter a new role, you know?
100%. I tell this to Molly too. She says that like the way I talk changed based on who I'm talking to. I'm like, I have like, it might change, but I still have a core of what I say and who I am. But I like words might change if I'm like doing some professional shit or if I'm doing some like just talking to my boys type shit. But she thinks I change like the whole way I talk, whether it's like a black person, a white person, professional shit. I'm like, you're kind of bugging. I speak the same to everybody. But then she like brought in my brother and he was like, nah, he kind of like just adapts to the situation he's in and just speaks to like whatever is presenting itself type of shit.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna back you up on this because what you're doing is not conscious. Like, it's annoying if it's a conscious change where it's like, I am now going to act different because of the situation. That's obnoxious because then people view that as inauthentic.
Yes.
But you've never, as long as I've known you, and I've known you for a super long time, longer than Molly's known you, and you've never, ever, ever been inauthentic in a different role. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just talk how you talk given the situation. And everybody's got that to some extent. And if they don't have that, then they might be like lacking a little bit of social skills, because like the most socially adept people who can navigate all different situations can do that.
Yeah. Nah, it's a good ass point. That's what I feel like. I don't know. I feel like I don't know. Some like Obama did that shit. Biden definitely doesn't do that shit. I think that's why people don't like him because he kind of just stays the same fucking.
He used to. Well, Biden used to do it. He used to be
Like
able to do it.
be smooth in different situations. Like that church shit I saw. I was like,
Oh,
damn,
that was hilarious.
But you
Oh, that was the funniest thing ever.
could kind of like get into that situation a little bit more, but I think he's really on some corpse shit that like he just can't adapt to situations anymore.
Nah, he's just old, dog. Like I saw a video the other day of him from 2008 when him and Obama were running against McCain and Palin, and he answered a question from a journalist about Roe versus Wade.
Yeah,
and he was sharp as a tack, like totally different dude. The fact of the matter is now he's just so old and his brain just doesn't work as well. And so now he doesn't have the ability to do much of anything. Never mind like something high level, like casually shifting gears in conversations or whatever.
I
But
watched
like,
your. Go
ahead.
I watched your birthday video on him. You were spot on. Like, you either gotta just say happy birthday to you, or let the crowd like chime in and say the name type of shit. But you can't commit to singing that song if you like. I don't even think it crossed his mind though when he said like
when he started.
First off, whose wife has a rule that when it's the birthday you have to sing happy? Like that's everybody's fucking rule. That's not your wife's shit. That's just like universal, like happy birthday 101. When it's someone's birthday, you sing them fucking happy birthday. So like, we all have that fucking rule. It's not like your wife's unique to having that fucking rule. But I don't even think it crossed his mind before he started singing. Like, there was no point, even when he started singing this shit, that he was like, I don't know this bitch's name, and I'm already committed to it. You know, like, I think even when he didn't even know her name and just said whatever he said, he still was kind of like, I'm freaking this shit right now.
I respect it, man. I mean, he's got no brain left. He's just vibing. And so he goes up there, he's winging it. Like you said, it didn't even enter his mind that I don't even know her name when he started singing happy birthday.
Yeah.
And then the amazing thing was the total inability to adjust. I would have But
what would you have liked him to adjust? To get like, because he already committed to singing the shit.
So this is what I said in the video. If I'm in his position, I start singing it, and I didn't remember that I don't know her name until I'm starting to sing it. I go like this. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Yeah.
And then people still might have said, oh, you forgot her name, but he could have been like, no, and then walked away.
I think it was Jimmy Kimmel or someone was like, even Fridays knows to hit him with like the we're not going to say your name shit because they hit you with the happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to. And they don't say the name. He could have freaked it like that shit too. And then they're like, he definitely knows her name, but he hit her with the Fridays shit.
The other thing he could have done, and this would have been high level, is you start singing it, happy birthday to you, and then you walk away from the microphone and keep singing it.
That's gangster.
Happy birthday to you.
Let like the crowd take over a little bit.
Yeah, let the crowd take over, and then you go, happy birthday, and then you go, come up here, talk to them, and like try to bring her up on stage.
As you're at the like name part?
Yes.
Yeah, that would have been super G. Because then you're like, I know your name, and I'm calling you out to come up and kind of appreciate you for this shit.
Yeah, low key.
That's the one.
Trump used to do that all the time. Trump used to be like, you out there wearing the hat. I really like that hat. Come on and say a couple words into the microphone.
Yeah, because then you put it on someone else to kind of be the hero. Yeah, no, that's a genius move. That's like low key. Trump, like, did you see at the chick, was it the Lady Diamond who died or something like that?
Yes. Yes.
At her funeral, this motherfucker was like, they told me it was going to be 15 minutes. I've been here for 3.5 fucking hours. I was like, dog, it's at her funeral and you're still shitting on people.
No, hold up. I'm about to throw a curveball at you right now. And I talked about this on the show today. I think he's getting his mojo back, man.
Low key, it looked like, I mean, he's kind of lost a little bit because like he could have been more G there. Like he could have just dipped out of the shit after the first 5 minutes. Like, The fact he stayed there the whole time kind of was like, this dude looks a little bit desperate, staying there the whole time for this shit. Old school Trump would have just popped in and then dipset. But the fact he said some of those certain shits, I kind of, to your point, was like, he's in the, like, he's getting his hacks in right now. He's in the batting cage.
That's
ready
what I'm saying.
to like get in the on decks, like get in the circle and start swinging.
This is classic Trump. This is old school Trump. How do you hit us with like a top 5 or top 10 Trump moment when you've been out of office for a hot minute, you haven't been back on Twitter, you've been massively irrelevant, and then you hit us with this out of the blue? You go to Diamond's funeral, you're supposed to give a eulogy, you turn it into a campaign speech.
Yeah.
He was talking about immigration and the national
No, was
debt.
he really?
Yes. He was talking about immigration, the national debt, inflation. He talked about all these different issues. He was talking about Joe Biden. And then he says, like, yeah, I was told it's going to be 15 minutes, And I said, it's okay. A little longer is okay. No problem. And then I said, this is a lot longer than 15 minutes. And it's like, this is classic Trump. This is the stuff that gets him the headlines. And then the other thing that makes me say he's getting his mojo back, other than that hilarious moment, which is like a top 5 Trump moment, because that's what, like, okay, one of the things about Trump that I think people liked is that sometimes he would just say the shit that, like, you're not supposed to say.
100%, yeah.
Everybody was kind of feeling it. Like, we've all been at some official event, whatever it may be, a wedding, a bar mitzvah back in the day, some whatever it is, and you're sitting there and you're going, "Damn, the shit is kind of long, and I'm hungry right now."
Yes.
And like you would never say that to the person whose shit it is. It's their special ass day. But in your head, or you might say it to like your girlfriend, or you might say it to your boy, but you never say it out loud. Trump took the mic and said it to the room full of 100 people or whoever was in there. That's crazy, dog. And then the other thing he did. The other thing he did that I was like, oh, he's making a comeback right now, is he released a video. Right now there's about to be a fight over what's called the debt ceiling. We don't need to get into it. It's a long story, but basically, like, you have to lift the debt ceiling because Congress already committed to spending a certain amount of money, and we're going to go over this arbitrary debt limit that they set. And so you have to lift the debt ceiling. It's not a question. If you don't lift it, we go into like a severe recession. And so the Republicans were thinking, all right, we're going to hold the debt ceiling hostage, say we're not going to lift it unless you do cuts to Social Security and Medicare. And Trump released a video, and he says, like, under no circumstances should Republicans ever cut a penny from Social Security or Medicare. And I was like, yo, goddamn, this is the shit he used to do in 2016 where he would, like, buck the Republican orthodoxy.
Yeah.
And that's what he's doing there. And he's right on that issue because the polls are like 85%. People love Medicare, and Social Security is the 2 most popular government programs in the country. And Joe Biden was saying, I'm not cutting it even a penny. So they could try whatever they want, but I'm standing for Social Security, Medicare. And then Trump comes out and basically agrees with Biden and doubles down on it. I was like, oh my God, he's getting like, because there was a time when DeSantis was up in a whole bunch of polls. Some polls had DeSantis up over Trump 10 points. And then now a whole bunch of polls came out where it's not that.
Trump's coming back.
Trump's up double digits in like the last 3 polls. And so I think he's making a comeback, dog.
I mean, it's a smart tactic. Like, the dude knows what America wants. And to your point, he'll say that shit, but then, I mean, you could fact check me on this shit, but then when he gets to the office, he would do the exact opposite. Like, he would cut Social Security and do exactly the opposite of what he said that he ran on, which people wanted. Yeah, so
on this specific issue, thankfully, he didn't cut Social Security or Medicare.
Okay, good.
But your point is correct overall, though, because he said a bunch of stuff that sounded like anti-establishment or sounded economically populist. Yeah. And he did, like, none of it. None of it. He did the opposite.
It got me sad. I saw DeSantis was at the Kansas City Chiefs game, and he was, like, high-fiving people in the front row in Kansas City. And there was just one kid that bothered me. It was like a fucking 12-year-old kid, a 13-year-old kid that was like, "You're the best governor. Run for president. Run for president." And I was like, these are the dickheads, like the same dickheads that voted for Trump were like those barstool, just young fucking just rich little kids voting for that probably couldn't even vote yet for a guy that they thought was like this like masculine figure doing all this like against the grain type shit. And there was just this one little kid fucking screaming that shit. And I was like, I want that kid to get punched in his face so hard. But like when DeSantis and like when Ted Cruz went to a Yankee game and was like sitting behind the fucking catcher's home plate, and like there was real videos of people just cursing him out and shitting on him. and then like he'd post something of like slapping one guy's hand, thinking that like people like him. It was the same thing with DeSantis. He's like slapping like a couple hands, but in reality, people were probably shitting on him like crazy. I just hate like when these politicians will go to a sporting event knowing they're getting fucking shitted on, acting like people actually like them.
Yeah, honestly, with DeSantis, and it's sad to say, but it's true, it is different with him. He actually is liked by the Republican base and
Ugh.
but like Ted Cruz is despised, and
Yeah.
whenever he goes anywhere, people are like, "You're a weasel," screw you. But with DeSantis, he really is like the heir apparent to Trump, and so he's got that support. But yeah, like a 12-year-old kid loving DeSantis, like, okay, kid, name me one thing he did in actual policy.
I think people just know him for the pandemic shit that like Florida didn't shut down, and he got all the credit for that.
Yeah, and honestly, that's why Rogan likes DeSantis. He said it a number of times.
Really?
And yeah, and I did videos where I went through like, no Joe, here's why he's bad, and I
That's
list
what I'm
like
saying. Like, what about all this other like he deadass just banned it, like African American studies in Florida?
Yeah, in high school he says no more African American studies. That's right.
Like there's like
no AP
fucking
African American
college
studies.
majors and like careers off of African American studies.
Yeah,
like
I
a
think it
whole
was high
history.
school. I don't think it didn't apply to college, I don't think, but it was high school and it was AP African American studies. But yeah, I mean,
But I'm saying you need
that's
that
crazy.
when you go to college. I'm sure like colleges have that shit, and if you don't learn it in high
Yeah.
school, you'll never do it in college.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because I'm sure in those classes, you learn about James Baldwin, who was
Yeah.
a black civil rights leader who also happened to be gay. I'm sure, you learn about MLK and more specifics about his life, or Malcolm X, and
Yeah.
to just axe all that and be like, no, it's too woke. That's the thing. They just call everything woke. They're just like, oh, it's woke, therefore it's bad, therefore let's crack down on it. And it's like, this is so lazy intellectually. And if you guys claim you're the ones who are in favor of free speech, as they always do, and it's like, why are you always trying to shut down left-wing speech? Why are you always trying to shut down the ideas you disagree with?
And like, isn't there other shit going on in Florida that like he fucking like has to go out of his way to like get rid of that whole shit? Like, are they all fixed from the fucking hurricane that demolished their whole fucking state? Like,
Right, yeah.
isn't there other
Yeah.
shit going on that like he doesn't have to go to a school and like talk about how he like acts the whole African American studies program? Like, how does that even come on a fucking governor's radar? Like, how is that even a thing? I just feel like there's so much other shit going on that like that I feel like almost he probably seeks out those fucking things that come to him because he knows that's going to get the most attention and like pick up the most news. So like he'll be on every news channel. Does that kind of make sense? Like he was like, all right, show me a whole bunch of shit. I'm going to pick the shit that's going to get people the most mad so I can be on every news station and just get my popularity up.
That's exactly what it is. He's the master at, like, he's very online for a governor. Like,
Mhm.
I think he actually like is on Twitter. He reads right-wing
Mhm.
Twitter accounts. I think he follows like right-wing shows, whether it's Ben Shapiro or Steven Crowder or who, like, I think he's actually in that world.
Mhm.
And so he knows the things that get these people fired up, that gets these people excited. And so he rides the wave of the like right-wing culture war. And he always picks the issues that are just like throwing red meat to the base, whether it's
Yep.
some trans thing, whether it's LGBTQ teachers, bless you. Like, he just knows what to say and what to do to get that positive reinforcement from his base. Like he did the other day, he did this anti-vax like roundtable conference with, it was like a vaccine skeptic conference where he talks about all the people who got injured from the vaccine and stuff, and we're going to hold big pharma accountable.
He's
And it's
probably
like,
vaccinated too, which is fucking crazy.
well, he is vaccinated. Yeah. I don't know if he got boosted, but he got the vaccine originally. But like, nobody even really knows what he believes about the vaccine because he's just virtue signaling to that right-wing base. And he's trying to differentiate himself from Trump. Whereas Trump, of course, was one of the reasons we got the vaccine.
Mhm.
And, Trump was taking credit for it for a while. Now he doesn't say anything because he's afraid to hurt someone with his base. And
Yep.
DeSantis is trying to differentiate himself by saying, look at me, I'm better for you guys because I'm with you on the vaccine stuff and Trump's not.
It's so wild to me. And well, the funniest shit is I sent you one of the things, and then I started seeing them everywhere. So I was probably like, "Oh, Kyle's already seen this shit." But the fake vax videos of people
Oh my
shaking,
God. Oh, they're hilarious.
like the
Have you seen like the parodies of it where people are like breakdancing and shit and they're like
yes, that's why
vaccine injury is terrible?
I sent you the one of like there was a movie where some girl was having like sex in a pool and she
Yeah.
was shaking, and I was like, "Oh, this is hilarious! I've never seen this." And then literally it was the same thing of like you send one thing or you type one thing and you get fed a million things on Twitter. I started seeing so many more of like those breakdancing or fake videos of like, "Hey, my friend is blah blah blah," and it's like John Travolta like Saturday Night Fever doing his like disco dance.
Bro, it's so lazy too, like the people who try to actually do the anti-vaccine thing,
Oh,
because there were videos of people like shaking their legs and they're holding the phone, but the phone is dead steady. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not even trying, bro. You guys aren't even trying with your propaganda. And by the way, it was so all that stuff was so easily debunked
yeah.
that even Twitter, under Elon Musk's leadership, put the banners underneath that were like, the vaccine's been given out 11 billion times. There's been no evidence of, people shaking uncontrollably from the vaccine.
It's fucking wild, man. Yeah, it's crazy. Like, it's crazy that like you just don't know what the next thing's gonna be online. You know, like what's the next video or what's the next trending shit gonna be to try and just fool people. And right now it's those videos because there's probably dumbass people out there that are watching those that are like, nah, I'm not gonna do any. I'm not. And for what reason? Like the shots are already administered, the boosters are already out. Like, are they're not asking to get more shots? So why all of a sudden are those videos coming out? Like,
I mean,
like
there's still. I mean, I see people who still do like videos on Dr. Fauci.
oh
Like
yeah, I
this
mean
dude
it's
is
like give
out.
it up at
He's
that
out
point
of.
already.
He's even out of the government now, and like the COVID policies that the Biden administration has taken, it's been like nothing. The only thing they did were like free tests, which was good.
Mm-hmm.
And then, he famously say like the pandemic's now over, we're treating it like it's over. And
Yeah,
so there's still people that get COVID. There's still, number of deaths from COVID, but all of society is sort of like moved on. So, and even all, the various vaccine mandates, even for like companies now, they're dropping those. I mean,
yeah.
the vaccine, there was never a vaccine mandate for the entire country. There
Mm-hmm.
was a policy of you either have to get vaccinated or take a test. But then the
Mm-hmm.
Supreme Court struck that down, so there was no mandate at all. So like the mandates are gone. There's no mask mandates. There's nothing. So if you want to get the vaccine, get the booster, whatever. If you don't want to get it, don't get it. But this whole like culture war over it, where they're trying to pretend like there was mass injury from it, is just bogus. It's not true.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was like, well, I don't understand why these videos are coming out because it's not like there's any more to the vaccine. Like it's like either you get the shit or you don't want to get the shit now at this point. But I
Well,
don't know.
they were speculating. I don't know if you saw this, but one of the pieces of speculation about Diamond is that she was super anti-vaccine,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people were saying they think she had COVID and died from COVID.
Oh, well, I mean,
I mean, look
thoughts
at
and
it.
prayers to her.
Look at what they do. Because remember when the whole Damar Hamlin situation happened,
Yeah.
all these people were immediately blaming the vaccine with no evidence
that's
at all.
wild.
And then there's a case of when Diamond dies, they don't say a goddamn word that, oh, maybe she died from COVID, right?
Yeah.
Like, so they'll blame anything on the vaccine, even with no evidence. And in an instance where you actually maybe could blame COVID, they got nothing to say. And if anything, they flipped it and tried to pretend like, oh, maybe she did get vaccinated and she died because of the vaccine.
It's insane. I mean, it's so comical. Like, even when you watch the like DeSantis and the fact that like he just like is stealing Trump's like whole mannerisms with the hands and like the way he walks, and it's just such a joke that like this guy is a real human being that actually has a chance to be our president.
Yeah,
It's like the whole shit with this one fucking guy that I hear about every single day from Long Island, Santos.
yeah, George Santos, yeah.
Like the fact that this guy like represents people and is like allowed inside of buildings in Washington and like is a real person is just such a joke. Like, it's like you can't, like, I can't put a lot of shits into words, but like I can't even put into words that like he's allowed to be with other like fucking representatives of this country. Just all the shit he's lied about and like these stories that come out. It's like it's almost like they keep putting a camera in his face and he becomes more popular. And like,
I mean, I don't know anybody who likes him because
I don't think anybody likes him, but like it's almost like a Kardashian effect where it's like he'll become so popular, he'll make more money now. You know, like there's a home for him somewhere because everybody knows who he is, good or bad. You know, like it's like the old saying of like no publicity is bad publicity. He's just going to keep growing because cameras keep going in his face. And so I don't know. So whether or not people like him, he's just going to always like, he's always going to be around, and like he shouldn't have the ability to make money off of the shit that he said he did. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, for him, I honestly think he's going to end up in jail because
that would be good.
He did a whole $700,000 Ponzi scheme, which is the money that he used to get elected.
Damn,
and so
that much? I thought oh shit.
I think he made the system look like the joke that it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the system is going to strike back.
Oh,
so
yeah,
I do think he'll eventually end up in jail. But to your point, he shows you that like everything's a scam.
Yeah.
Because he became a member of Congress.
Yeah.
Lying about absolutely everything in his life.
It's fucking wild.
That guy didn't say a single thing that was true, but he created a bogus story, a bogus narrative that he sold with enough passion to get his ass into Congress as one of the most powerful people on planet Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a scam in that way, the way that he presented himself and how he ended up beating the system, at least for the time being.
Crazy.
And then there's also a scam in what you were just describing about DeSantis and how he's like just a total copy of Trump, and he copies his hand motions and he copies his speech patterns and he copies the way he walks and the way he stands and the way he acts.
Yep.
And that's the same thing as like on the Democratic side. How many Obama clones were there after Obama won and became president? You had like Mayor Pete is just a total Obama ripoff. He copies the way he talks. He copies his inflection.
Mm-hmm.
You have Beto O'Rourke was the exact same thing. There were so many of these people. They're a dime a dozen. And what it tells you is there is zero originality too. Like everything's a scam. Everything's fake. There's no originality. And people are just basically lying their way to the top. It's like that saying, fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
Like they're all faking it until they make it.
It's sad how fucking like gullible the American people are. And to be fair, not to fucking go back to this, but like without like independent media, you would just think that that's how a normal person was, or without social media, you wouldn't see people's like, you know, true colors and what they think and all this shit. So like, it's a blessing and a curse, but like now you can see all these people are fake as fuck, except for my guy, Bernie Sanders, because they don't have an original thought. They all repeat the same shit and they all go on the same shows and say the same shit. And that's why every clip is like, it's funny to watch because they're just a pull string doll saying the same fucking shit.
Yeah, that's very true. Ugh. So let me tell you I got really annoyed watching YouTube earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So I always watch, everybody knows I like golf. And so I always watched some golf YouTube channels because, you know, it makes sense, right? Like whether it's people playing 9 holes or 18 holes and recording it, or whatever, people testing drivers, or it doesn't matter. I would just watch golf YouTube stuff, right? And it's this like little corner of YouTube. And I remember starting to watch these channels when they had like 30,000 subscribers, 40,000 subscribers. And like, I think a lot of people can relate to this, the charm of original YouTube, like old school YouTube, because the charm is you got some regular ass people and they take a camera and they go out there and everything is really raw and you just see them playing golf. see them bantering. Like it's just fun, right? So you get I got the golf stuff I want to see, and then you also see some cool like personalities and people just being normal or whatever. And then what happened was you would see slowly there'd be like little upgrades. And at the beginning, the upgrades are good, right? Like they get rid of a bad camera, they bring in a new camera that's higher quality. They bring in a new microphone that's higher quality, so the audio quality is better. You know, they spruce up the content a little bit. They try some new ideas, and you're watching, and you're like, this is good. Like I like all this. It's good.
Yep.
But then at some point, and this is where it starts getting annoying, it goes too far, and there's no longer that element of like, this is just two people doing some shit they love and with a camera on them. And these channels become basically corporate behemoths.
Yep.
And so a lot of these little, what used to be these little golf YouTube channels, they're just like, it's like a TV channel or something that's on YouTube. And a bunch of the golf YouTube guys I watched took these massive sponsorship deals.
Yeah, they sold out.
One group went to Callaway, the other one went to TaylorMade, and they had these big like launch videos where like the TaylorMade Twitter account is tweeting it, and you know it's basically like a promotional thing.
Yep.
And then at the same time, so again, I started watching them at like 30,000, 40,000 subscribers. Now you look at them and they got like whatever 2 million, 3 million, 4 million subs, and they do all these corporate sponsorship deals, they do all these ads. And the original charm is just gone.
Yep.
Like it's not the same anymore. They're not just two people doing some shit they love with a camera on. And a lot of that pisses me off. One part that pisses me off is just how it becomes so corporate and so fake. That's one part that pisses me off. And then the other part that pisses me off is at the time when I was watching these channels when they were starting with like 30,000 subs or whatever, my channel on YouTube had like 500,000 subscribers at the time. And then now they all zoomed by me and got millions and millions of subs. Now, why is that? Are they just doing something that's more interesting and better, and so that's why they pass by me? No. It's because golf is totally inoffensive to advertisers.
Yep.
And so YouTube decided, yeah, let's help these channels out. Let's give them recommendations in the algorithm so new people watch them. Let's like promote their content. And so they just attract new viewers and new people because it's promoted so much. And then meanwhile, I'm doing politics, which politics, no matter what people think about it, there is a bigger market for political talk than there is for golf YouTube. But we're over here treading water, been trying to get to 1 million subs for like a year now, barely gaining any subs whatsoever. And it's through no fault of my own. It's because YouTube decided, hey, this stuff is questionable and it might scare away advertisers. So let's just put the brakes on these channels to make sure they don't get too big.
No, I agree with you 100% because at first I asked Molly the same shit. I was like, you think Kyle's channel's not growing because he's not trying new shit or whatnot? And she kind of was like, he's doing new stuff. So like he should be growing a little bit. But to your point, I work in marketing and see a lot of these people in the basketball space specifically, similar to like golf, who have started a YouTube channel from ground zero, from nothing. And it would be like, they had like 5,000 subscribers. And literally in like 2 months, 3 months, they're at like 100,000 subscribers now, which like is absurd. And they're just like normal people. And that doesn't just happen. That happens because they've got safe videos of them dunking a basketball over someone or like doing shit that YouTube probably deems as safe, that they can feed to like little kids that will just like stay on their channel more and watch, you know? And it's just strange to me that they can grow so fast in a matter of months. Whereas like an OG like yourself, who's been on the platform doing shit for mad long, who they should be promoting and should be showing love to, and they don't, you know? It's almost like rewarding someone who hasn't been there for that long. Whereas like your loyal, faithful person who's been dedicated to you since the beginning of your shit while you were still trying to become popular, you don't show any love to.
Yeah, it's honestly, to them, it's a business. It's all about what's advertiser friendly. We don't want to scare away advertisers, so we got to make sure, because they lump me in, since I'm like independent news and politics, they're lumping me in with people who they view as a genuine problem, people who are doing like anti-vaccine content or doing election conspiracies. They think like this whole field is tainted. So we need to make sure we don't get in trouble. So we got to sort of keep them in check, keep them in place. And for anybody who's like skeptical hearing this, there was a story that came out this week about how TikTok, they literally have a button that you can press to make a video go viral. So it is all about the algorithm. Now, there hasn't been any leaks around YouTube and around like exactly what their policies are and how their algorithm works and how they promote stuff and how they derank stuff or whatever. But we all know that stuff exists.
Yeah.
We just need to see the specifics of it.
Yep.
And there's at some point there's going to be a whistleblower who comes out and says like, here's the deal, here's what they promote, here's what they push down, you know, here's how you make it. And, you know, I was talking to Crystal about this the other day. Could you imagine if YouTube decided, hey, you know what? There is an issue. We do have an issue with anti-vaccine content and election conspiracies and all these things that are like genuine misinformation stuff that scares away advertisers. What if we here at YouTube, since we're geniuses and we have big brains, what if we decided, hey, let's take independent politics channels that debunk those conspiracies and just put some of their videos on the main page once every 3 months? Do you have any idea how fast my channel would grow?
Oh,
if they
it'd be crazy.
It would be, I would go from whatever I'm at now, 982 or whatever it is. I guarantee you, if they put one of my videos on the main page every 3 months, that would be 3 million subscribers within a year.
Yeah.
I guarantee you.
Yeah. I mean, they wouldn't do that shit because they're too busy putting CNN shit or MSNBC shit. You know, like, that's who is putting the money in their pockets, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, the YouTube CEO kind of admitted all of this and I covered the video, it was about a year or two ago when they rolled out their authoritative news policy. And basically what happened is they got scared because the advertisers were like, hey, you got misinformation problems and there's like election interference, and so you need to take care of that or we're going to cut the money that's flowing to you. So they decided, oh my God, they're right. Let's boost CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, the authoritative news sources, which means what? Which means by extension, you are de-amplifying all of the non-authoritative news of which, you know, it's considered that I'm in.
Yeah.
And so it's like you're trying to swim upstream. It doesn't matter how good you do, how much people like your stuff. You know, it doesn't matter because if they want to put the brakes on you, they can put the brakes on you in the same way back when they did in 2017 Adpocalypse, where they just cut off all the funding to us overnight because there was some official ad from like Nestle or something that ran on some white nationalist channel. They were like, oh, we got to like defund all of news and politics because we're getting hammered in the media. And so
I personally think it's a matter of time before, to your point, a whistleblower or somebody comes out, because I mean, I think Twitter started the trend of kind of that technology space of like understanding we don't need as many people actually working on our shit than we have, where they cut their whole workforce. And then I don't know what the shit was, but there was like 300 people left and the platform's running better than ever. And then Meta fired like whatever amount of their staff. And then now just the other day, Google fired like 10,000 people from their shit, or Microsoft, one of the two. I don't know who it was. So like, there's got to be a point soon, because I'm sure YouTube has like a fucking bajillion people working on their platform, that they start to realize too, like, hey, we could probably fire like 20,000 of these people and still operate fine. Because at the end of the day, you only need so many people to run one fucking, I mean, like, there's a lot of shit that goes into their platforms, but they probably are realizing, hey, look at all these other companies, they're still operating fine, and they just let go of like 1/4 of their workforce. And then there'll be someone in that like lump who's like, all right, let me come out with a book, or let me go on record, or let me do a podcast or an interview and set the record straight. But my thing is like, even if someone came out and said all that shit, because I think there was videos of the CEO of YouTube or some shit saying that they do all the shit that you're talking about, but there's no, it's like an NFL referee. There's no repercussions for the shit. Like, at the end of the day, and it sucks for you, but like, you're still going to be on that platform regardless of, even if they said specifically like, yeah, we don't show Kyle Kulinski's videos, you'll be like, all right, fuck, I still got to be on this shit to put my videos on here.
Yeah, I mean, it really what it all comes down to is recommendations. So the way it used to work is if you click a secular talk video and you click autoplay on it, it would just play like 10 of my videos back to back to back to back.
I remember,
Yeah, and then now if you click one of my videos, it'll go to John Oliver. It'll go to some other like somewhat edgy, somewhat outsider content that's kind of pre-approved. And
but
so
I'm saying like if there was your like perfect case situation where someone came out and like spilled all the fucking tea,
they still wouldn't do shit. Yeah,
they still wouldn't do shit. You know,
well,
like
so I think you're right, but there is some reason for hope, and the reason is they do respond to pressure, right? And so you have to there needs to be like the media needs to cover exactly what we're saying now. Like if there was a big headline like YouTube suppresses conspiracy debunking channels, like if it was framed that way, like why are you suppressing conspiracy debunking channels? They debunk conspiracies. This is exactly what you want. You should promote them and then hold them up as, hey, we're fighting the conspiracies.
Yeah.
So like if there was a media full court press with that exact narrative, hey, there are these really charismatic independent YouTube channels out there and they're actually debunking all the things that are a huge problem that the advertisers are afraid of.
Yeah.
That would be one thing that would help. And then the other thing that would help is, again, appealing to them where they're at. So look, my whole take on the algorithm is they should go back to the old school algorithm, which was just more of a meritocracy, which is like, you know, if you do a good video and a lot of people watch it, then it recommends it to a lot more people and a lot more people watch it. So that's the way it should be. Now, I don't think they're ever going to go back to that. I really don't. I don't think they're ever going to go back to that kind of an algorithm. Okay, so given that fact, we're not going to get our ideal. Well, then you need to appeal to them where they're at. And if their concern is we're afraid of misinformation and disinformation and we're afraid of the advertisers running away from us because we have problematic material showing on YouTube, well, then you tell them, again, this helps you to tell advertisers, hey, look, we're fighting the misinformation in this new way, too, because we have all of these genuinely independent channels who are fighting back against it. And we had the brakes on them before. We took the brakes off and we're promoting them. And so now you're going to have some organic voices out there who are actually equipped to handle all the misinformation. Because that's the thing. You take some douchebag from CNN or MSNBC and you put them up against an Alex Jones or a Steven Crowder or a Ben Shapiro, and they're impotent. They're not charismatic. They're not interesting. They don't know how to counter the points. But my whole job is to do exactly that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, if they wake up, they would do the right thing. But, you know,
I mean, you're 1,000% right. You see that once, like, I randomly, I don't know what I was clicking through just TV stations, and I randomly saw like Chris Cuomo was back on some random ass like network now.
News Nation. Yeah, News Nation.
But it just goes to show that these people without the fucking like backing of the big network, nobody likes them. Like, I've never heard of that shit. Like when I saw Chris Cuomo on the shit, I was like, what is this network he's on? And like, it was like, oh, that makes sense. He's not going to be on some shit that I know because nobody fucking likes it. It's like Stephen A. Smith. They're like, oh, Stephen A. Smith potentially wants to be the next host of like Jimmy Kimmel or Late Night with Jimmy Fallon or one of these shits. And I was like, that shit would flop in a fucking second because like the reason people know Stephen A. Smith is because he's on ESPN. But if he wasn't on ESPN, no one would watch his shit, you know? So like, to your point, the people they have on these networks aren't charismatic, aren't popular outside of just being forced to watch them within these networks. And to your point, like, well, not to your point. I don't know why I keep saying that shit. But like, if the major networks saw that like the people were popular outside on like independent, like if they saw that you were so popular, they'd be smart and fucking want to do some shit with you. Not that you would do it, but like, they just don't, they're just so late to understanding what's hip. And like they pick it up, whether it's like 6 months later, 12 months later, when it's like out of style already, you know?
Yeah, no, I mean, I just need them to take the brakes off me. That's all I ask.
Yeah.
Just take the goddamn brakes off me. And to your point, like, the way it used to work for YouTube, for podcasts, is it's cream rises to the top. It really is more of a free market. Like, people have unlimited, infinity options of stuff to listen to or watch on the internet. So if they're actually choosing to watch you, that is a badge of honor.
Yeah.
They're saying you're interesting enough, you're charismatic enough, you're intelligent enough, whatever, to get these eyeballs, to have people listen to you. When it comes to TV only has a certain number of set channels, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say, 200 channels. And it's a captive audience. So I need to compete with literally millions of other YouTube channels. Mm-hmm. Okay? They have to compete with 200 other channels. And by the way, like 125 of those 200 channels are like small market, fake ass channels that play reruns of like Murder, She Wrote or whatever, right? And so really you're talking
Hallmark
about
channel.
With the news network, like, what do you have? 5, maybe 3 main ones, 5 like cable news, 24/7 networks. So like the people who were just granted a position to be on air, they weren't battle tested. No, they weren't proven. They're granted a giant audience just by virtue of the fact that they're on air.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so that's why, to your point, they're really not interesting, charismatic, can't develop a following.
Every single shit one of those network people have done outside of that network has flopped, or just like, I don't know.
I'd say 90% of them. Yeah. 10% have what it takes. 1 of 10 have what it takes. Yeah.
Even like even Obama's shit. Like, he was the most popular president, but then started his own podcast, and people were like, nah, dog, like, we don't, no. We don't fuck with your shit.
Yeah. He's got the authenticity problem. I mean, he had a, relatively high approval rating as far as presidents go. But in terms of listening to his podcast, it's like, bro, you should be given a stump speech while you're running for office. You shouldn't be doing a podcast where the whole nature of podcasts are supposed to be like really raw and honest. And it's like, we know we're not getting that from you. What didn't he do with like Bruce Springsteen or some shit?
It
was random, right? Some random
It was random as fuck. That's like the most, that's a random ass matchup.
Yeah.
I did listen to Conan O'Brien's for a second, and I kind of liked a couple episodes because he seemed like funny and witty. And I gave him the benefit of the doubt because like I don't know his whole situation, what happened with NBC, but then he went to Comedy Central. And he seems like an okay dude. Trevor Noah's shit I never fucked with, and when what's her name, Leslie Jones or something, filled in for him, and she was just screaming. Like I listened, like I put it on for a second, and she was just screaming about some shit, and I had to turn it off because I was like, I don't find her funny at all. And it was just screaming. And I was like, this is miserable. And then like, I saw some headline, and I don't know what it was, like Vanity or some shit that probably is the same corporation as Comedy Central. And it was like, Leslie Jones steals late night headlines or some shit. And I was like, there's no way that shit is true. There's no way that other people were sitting here enjoying this shit. Because from what I saw, she was like talking about one, which this is fucking hideous. Did you see the Martin Luther King Jr. statue?
Yes.
Bro, what was that shit?
I covered it. Yeah. They're holding a giant dick.
It's literally, and then I still fuck with CBS Sunday Morning News, and they did a special on it, and they were talking to the like artists behind the shit, and they kind of were roasting them in front of them. They were showing them like some tweets that people were putting out, and it was just like, yo, who approved this? Like I could have drew something better than this. And they were like, yeah, well, this had to get approved by a whole bunch of people. And I was like, can't you just look at that shit and just see it looks like 2 dicks or like a vagina or some shit that doesn't look like 2 arms like embracing? And they were like, people are going to look back on this and actually realize that like it could be them and their mom hugging or them and their dad. I'm like, no,
bro. I covered the statue, right? And then the next show I covered CNN because they were defending the statue.
That's what I'm saying. So like, yes, that's why like when I saw that article was saying that Leslie Jones won late night, I'm like, all these people just jerk each other's dicks. Like There's no way that CNN really thinks that that statue is nice.
Bro, they invited the artist on to suck the artist off, and they were saying that like anybody who was criticizing the statue is just a troll, and they're like, not embracing MLK's legacy or something. And it's like, you can't brazenly lie like this and expect everybody to be like, yeah, you're right, good point. Like, it's not a good statue. What do you want me to tell you? Like, there's a MLK statue in Washington D.C. by like the cherry blossoms.
Yeah.
And I saw that in person. And
he's like coming out of the wall, right?
Bro, phenomenal statue.
Yeah.
It looks like him. It's super high quality.
Yep.
And then you see this one with Coretta Scott King holding a giant dick. And it's like, don't tell people they're bad people if they see what's right in front of them.
Yeah. Yeah, shit was wild. And then I saw something on Twitter that was like, the shit was like $10 million that they actually could have put into like the community. But instead they put it to this fucking statue that, like, yes, that's great. It's very nice to honor Martin Luther King Jr. and his wife. But you could have been more impactful with that money.
Absolutely. And Martin Luther King would have wanted you to do that. He would have said, like, if you're telling, let's say, $10 million goes to either a statue of me or
my hands. It's not even like of me, like.
Yeah, or it goes to feeding homeless people. He would have 100% said feed homeless people.
Yeah, I don't know how decisions get made on that shit, because the artists were like, people voted on this one. There was different variations.
Dog, groupthink is a scourge, man. Groupthink is a scourge. Like, you have a room full of serious people who are like bureaucrats who wear a suit and tie to work, and they're talking about the MLK statue, and they're all going over it. And there's not one person in a room full of like 10 people who's just going to keep it real.
That's a good ass point. Yeah, I feel like that's all of corporate America, like scared to be like, hey, excuse me, sorry. And they're like, what, Rebecca?
Exactly.
It kind of looks like she's holding a penis. Get out of here. Don't come back.
And they're just afraid of what the reaction would be. But you have to be honest about it. They're not honest about it. By the way, you mentioned, when you mentioned Trevor Noah, I wanted to talk about him for a second because, man, he's, it's like a real sad thing that happened to him because, so the reason why Jon Stewart picked him to be his heir apparent to the Daily Show throne is because Jon Stewart appreciated his stand-up comedy and thought it was like edgy and smart.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happened was Jon Stewart picks him. There were a million articles written in the media about how Trevor Noah is racist and he's a bully and he's like, whatever, fat phobic. And there was a whole list of like, you're just a bad person because your jokes are messed up. Yeah, they hard tried to cancel him.
Mm-hmm.
And so Trevor Noah, basically, my read on the situation, and I could be wrong, but my reading on the situation was it just like defanged him from his like edgier comedy.
Yeah.
And so then, he sat in Jon Stewart's chair and he just did like conventional wisdom, really not all that funny stuff.
Yeah, PG
and
shit.
Yeah, and it's heartbreaking too because that's another clear example of like he would have been better off if people just hid from him all of the articles that were shitting on him over his comedy. If he was never allowed to see that stuff, and then Jon Stewart picked him, and Jon Stewart was like, "Hey man, I believe in you. I think you're really funny. I like your stand-up, etc." Then he probably would have been good at the job.
Yep.
Like he had the ability to be good at it, but he like defanged himself.
Yeah, it's sad when that happens because you're catering to what you think people want, and you sit in an audience of people who are filtered that are, clapping for everything you say, and you're not allowed to be like boo or there's an applause sign. So like you're in a room of yes men. So like you never get feedback of like, yeah, it's not that funny. Like.
Yup. Yeah, that's the scourge.
Yeah, I mean, so like it's just like you have that for years and you go on and your shit becomes filtered and you lose your authenticity. You lose that reason why someone picked you, which sucks. You become what you think people want you to be, but it's not. And that's why I still don't know. Did he like get canceled? Did the show like lose ratings, or did he say he left on his own?
I think he left on his own, but it was widely known that like
His shit
I don't
was
think his
not
numbers were
doing well,
great.
right?
It was going downhill. And I think you absolutely nailed it because that's the thing that's a real it gets really ugly when people say the thing that they think
Hmm.
you want them to say. It's
Hmm.
like you can never ever ever act like that and expect to be interesting or witty or smart. Again,
Yep.
I'd rather you be like an idiot and wrong but authentic than right but like smarmy and calculated.
Yeah.
And it ruined him. It ruins a lot of people, man. It's like just like in YouTube, there's a huge problem with what's called audience capture too.
Hmm.
Audience capture is kind of what we're describing. Like you can see as a YouTuber what are the things that click the best, what are the
Hmm.
things that people like watching the most that you do,
Hmm.
and then you're just like, I'm just gonna just do this.
Hmm.
And like you could lose your core and what you really believe and your morality and your mission just like chasing the clicks.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's a huge problem. Like, because we go after corporate media all the time, but like new media also has its pitfalls that have become very apparent within the past 2 or 3 years,
Hmm.
and that's one of the pitfalls is audience capture. Another pitfall is what I call narrative humpers, which is like people who always try to like how the kids there could be like that toy that has a square peg and you have a round hole and you try to like put the peg in the
Yep.
hole and it just doesn't fit, but you just keep trying to do it.
Hmm.
There are people who do that with whatever their pet issue is, where it's just like I'm just always gonna say the same shit
Yep.
and
Yep.
hump my narrative 24/7. That's the other problem. And then the third problem that I see is what I call terminal contrarians. And you probably see this all the time on Twitter where
Hmm.
like there will be some shit that's like obviously true and then somebody just to be a contrarian will be like, I
Yeah.
disagree.
Yep.
And it's like, no, you can't
Yeah.
just. Sometimes the conventional wisdom is the conventional wisdom because it's actually true.
Yep.
Sometimes it's bad and it's groupthink and it's stupid, but there are times where it's true. So if you're just being a contrarian no matter what, then you're just as much as a follower and a loser as the people who always go with the crowd.
Yep. No, I totally agree with you. And there, yeah, I mean, I said this to you because I saw like Jimmy Dore put some shit like kind of getting at you for some shit, and I was like, this dude is like full blown fucking crazy now, right? Because like I used to think dude was funny, but now I kind of look at his shit and I'm like, yo, this dude seems crazy now. But like, it seems like he's just saying shit to get a reaction and gain popularity off of just wild shit that he says, and he doesn't actually mean the shit he's saying anymore. Like he's just looking for clicks, he's looking for attention, he's looking to attack people, to latch his name onto them and get popular off of that shit. And it's sad when that happens because like it loses who you originally were, you know?
Yeah, I don't understand. I mean, actually, I do understand, but I totally disagree with it. The YouTubers who are like just become like drama channels,
Hmm. Hmm.
there are some people who I watch some of their videos, and then literally like the 10 videos in a row they drop will just be them doing beef with other YouTubers.
Yeah.
And like there's a nominal substantive disagreement somewhere in there, but it gets lost in all the drama and the he said, she said, and the reading motives and intentions
Yeah.
and calling people dishonest and malicious and this and that. And it's like, is this so this is what you do? Like you just do this all day, every day? Like what's the point of your channel?
Yeah. It's
Like
weird.
is it just gossip drama stuff? Is there a core mission? Is there like what are you actually doing here? And I've seen so many channels that's just what they do. Like they're just shit stirring channels. They're just drama channels. And it's like, no, if you are political, do political shit.
Hmm.
If you are in whatever, fill in the blank. If you're a philosophy channel, do philosophy. If you're psychology or self-help, do that. If you're a podcast where people shoot the shit, do that. Like people always lose themselves down this rabbit hole. And it's like, how are you going to look at this 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Are you going to look back at your library of 712 YouTube videos of you doing random drama with people that nobody even gives a fuck about?
Yeah.
And
It's
you're going to be
petty.
proud of your work here? You think you're making a difference?
It's petty shit. It's like, I mean, it's like high school shit. I mean, like, I think we clicked because we both appreciated, when someone like could walk down the hallway and be like, "Oh, what's up? What's up?" And you knew people, you liked them, there was no beef. But then you can see corny people that just look for drama, that look to like start beef or like, want to gossip about people. And it's kind of just like, you don't want to be around those type of people, and you don't want to like listen to what they have to say, because then you get like caught up in what they're talking about, and it just like brings you down. They're like, there's no reason for that shit, like, I mean, like, just do what you do, show love, and like, and that's how it should be. Like, there shouldn't be like you starting like petty arguments and bullshit about people, because it's like, just do what you do, talk about whatever you're passionate about, and talk about what you do. There's no reason to like start beef and that be your fucking content.
Yeah, I mean, dog, I'm about to be 35 years old, right? Like, I'm turning 35 on January 31st, which is not that fucking far away, up. Right? So I feel I'm a grown ass man, dude. I feel old. Sometimes I feel beaten down.
Same.
Sometimes it's like, part of my body will hurt that I'm like, that's a new fucking hurt that I never fucking felt before, right? And it's like, when you're a grown ass man, like I don't have time for any of. That's why I don't look at negative fucking comments or mentions or whatever. Like, I've just totally tuned out of all of that. It's like, I'm going to do what my job is and do it to the best of my ability and sort of let the chips fall where they may. And like, if you're a grown man, number one, you avoid drama at all costs, right? But then number two, if there's an issue and you're dealing with two adults, like look at when I went to Miami and I went on that PBD podcast, right?
Yeah.
So their podcast is just totally different from what I do. I would categorize them as like, they're like a motivational, entrepreneurial, self-help type, right-leaning podcast, right? And so I went in there, I'm a lefty. And so, but they're adults. So what do? We had an adult-ass conversation where we expressed our disagreements. We went back and forth. There were some points of agreement. A lot of it was just standard conversation type shit. But when you disagree, you sort of flesh it out. And then after you flesh it out, whether you see eye to eye or if you don't see eye to eye, you go, all right, bet, that's what's up. What's next? And like, you just keep it moving. And that's so, unfortunately, that's so rare, you know? And you're even seeing this now with like what's happening. I don't know if you followed at all what's happening with right-wing media and how they're at all-out war with each other now. Have you seen any of this?
I mean, did it start with the guy trying to be speaker?
No. So you're talking about that's in Congress. I'm talking about Steven Crowder and Ben Shapiro. Have you followed this at all?
I haven't seen any of that shit.
All right, so I'll give you the breakdown of it, because this is awesome. This is crazy. Because normally it's like the lefty hosts that are fighting and slitting each other's throats.
Yeah.
But now it's the right-wing hosts who are doing it. And they're 10 times as vicious as anybody on the left. So this guy, Steven Crowder, huge YouTuber. He's got like 5 or 6 million YouTube subscribers.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I haven't seen his videos, but I think I know. Does he kind of look like the guy who hosts, like James Corden?
He's, I guess, maybe a skinnier James Corden. He's much skinnier than James Corden.
Okay.
He's just like standard white guy.
Yeah,
he's actually Canadian. A lot of people don't know that, but he's Canadian. Anyway, so he comes out and does this like melodramatic video with the title like, "It's time to stop this," or something like that. And he talks about how conservative media is all a big con, and I'm going to expose the big con. And he shows a contract that he was offered, because apparently he was like looking for a company to work for, and they offered him a contract. And so he shows these parts of the contract that he says are like exploitative. And basically the gist of the parts that he think are exploitative are this: if you get like demonetized from YouTube, you lose a certain percentage of the money that they're going to pay you. If you get like a strike on YouTube, you lose a certain amount of the money that they're going to pay you. If you lose like 50% of your YouTube revenue, or if you're banned off Facebook or whatever, like there's a whole list of, if these things happen, here's the result. Like, and they dock some of your pay if that's the case. And so this guy's argument is like, hey man, this means you guys are in bed with big tech and you're in favor of their censorship. That's the argument that he makes. And so he didn't say the name of the company. He just showed the contract and said, this is all a big con. I registered a website, stopbigcon.com. Go sign up, give me your email, and hey, we're going to have to change this. We're going to have to fix this. And he was making it sound like, I'm going to start a company that competes with this company, which is like a scam company, right? That's what he was saying. Well, it turns out he was talking about a contract that was offered to him by the Daily Wire, which is Ben Shapiro's outlet. Ben Shapiro is another huge
Yeah.
commentator online. He's got maybe like 2 or 3 million subscribers, something like that. He gets a lot of video views, huge conservative name. And so what happened was the CEO of the Daily Wire, who's like Ben Shapiro's best friend, he comes out and goes through the contract line by line because Crowder put him on blast and only showed parts of the contract that he was like, oh, this is exploitative. So the Daily Wire CEO was like, I'm going to show you the whole thing. And so he literally showed the entire contract and was explaining each provision and explaining like, here's why this is not at all exploitative. So for example, if Steven Crowder were to lose 50% of his YouTube ad revenue, they would dock his fee 25%. And so he was explaining that means Steven Crowder could actually make more money even if YouTube demonetizes him 50%.
Yeah.
So he's walking everybody through it, okay? Come to find out, the contract that they offered Steven Crowder was for $50 million over 4 years.
Damn.
$50 million over 4 years.
The fucking Ben Shapiro shit got money like that?
The Daily Wire is funded. They get a lot of ad revenue, but I think they're also funded by like right-wing billionaires.
Oh, God.
So yeah, they have crazy money.
Damn, man.
So, then
one day you should just switch up and fucking go under that fucking...
I mean,
just be like, yo, hey, guys, I'm with the Daily Wire now.
Yeah, I could get super wealthy if I were to do the whole, like, why I left the left type thing. Too bad on principle.
Man, you should pretend you're going undercover on some Stephen Colbert shit and just fucking, like, hey, guys, I'm doing this for a reason. Just fucking get it.
So then people were like, dude, you were offered $50 million. This is not exploitative. Like, even if you have an issue with certain parts of the contract, it was a contract negotiation, so you could have counter-offered and said, hey, get rid of these provisions, and like then I'll make a deal with you. But Crowder didn't do that. He just put them on blast, said it's all a con, and like now everybody's got to sign up for my shit, right? And so they're going after each other. The claims are, Steven Crowder is saying you guys are doing a giant con and you're in bed with big tech and you're pro-censorship, and the Daily Wire is saying back to him like you're just a liar. None of this is exploitative, and this was all a setup, and you're doing it to build your own competitor to the Daily Wire.
Yeah.
And so they're going to war right now. And anyway, this is my long way of getting back to the original point, which is to say, it's so not common for people, number one, who disagree, but apparently even people who agree, to just be like, yeah, bro, it's good. It is what it is. Whether we agree or disagree, like, it's all love. Like, it's whatever. Let's do our thing and we'll talk it out and then we move on. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yes.
It's just so rare.
It's very rare. I mean, I think people are people outside of the internet world, I think they're probably getting a lot of good views and content out of this shit, so going back and forth, I think they probably are realizing they're getting good engagement. They're getting people, chiming in. They're showing shit that's not supposed to be shown.
That was part of Crowder's plan, I think. I think he planned all this.
Yeah, I think like a lot of I've come to the realization that I don't believe anything on the fucking internet anymore. Like, I feel like everything is fake. So like, I'm sure that shit is real, but I think someone on either side, probably both of them, have thought through, all right, I could monetize off this somehow by, showing the contract, getting content out of it. But in the real world, I feel like people get upset about shit just because they're bored and they like want to stir something up. They want some excitement in their life, or they need a reason to like be mad at someone, or need a reason to like, they can't just be chilling with where they're at in life. I feel like people are always looking for some type of issue.
Yeah.
So
in the real world, I don't see any of these problems. Like, do you run into issues like this in the real world? Because I feel like in the real world, but maybe it's just because I've like made my circle small enough where I know I trust everybody and they're good ass people in my circle.
Yeah.
But like, I see no issues like this in the real world. I don't deal with any backstabbing or weirdness or, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, one situation that made me laugh was I was watching my CBS Sunday Morning this past week, and there was this old guy on there, and it was literally a segment of him ranting for 5 minutes about how he's upset that people use the phrase like sport or buddy or like pal or some shit. And I was just like, fuck this dude, because like, one, sometimes like I'll like kind of just be like, that was weird if a bartender's like, hey, sport, what are you getting? You know, or like, hey, buddy, or hey, pal. I'm like, all right, whatever. But it's just the bartender or some shit. But I would never like spend 5 minutes on a rant on national TV being upset about that shit. Like, there's just no reason. Like, it's like, I think he was the guy who was filling up his coffee said like, hey, buddy, like you want more, or hey, champ. I don't know what he said. But it's just like people look for reasons to get upset about some shit for no reason. It's like, just move on, dude.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, here's the sad reality. Anybody who would have that sort of an issue, like there are some people who are just like, some percentage of happiness is genetic, right? I think I read, and this could be total bullshit, but about half of your happiness is genetic and half of it is like environmental, right? And so if somebody's default setting, like their factory setting on happiness is like 0 out of 10, and the happiness they could ever be is to get it to a 5 out of 10, then like if you have that mindset, then you're dealing with a lot of baggage and you're miserable all the time. So you're just going to complain about everything. You know what I mean? It's like, and I noticed this with myself too. Like, let's say I'm really hungry and there's no food and like the kids are being like loud and obnoxious or whatever, then I will become hangry, hungry, angry, right?
Yep.
And like, and I know that's what it is, but the feeling is so overwhelming that it's almost like the best I could muster is just to shut the fuck up.
That's
you know, like the best I can muster is like, I'm just going to sit here and not say a goddamn word, but I'm secretly seething inside because I'm just not feeling it right now. You know? And like how many people are walking around with a feeling that's kind of like that 24/7?
Yeah, it's a good ass point. Cause I was like that with my daughter this weekend. We were at the mall and the mall is big as fuck. And we walked through the whole shit. And there was one point where I was like, all right, I'm actually very hungry right now. And then like, she wanted to go into like Big Bass World or whatever and look at the fish and shit. And I was like, I was to your point where I was like, I'm going to just shut the fuck up right now. And like, kind of just be like, I'm very hungry. Like we're going and not be on some angry, mad shit. But I like, it was me at 0 getting to like a 3 of happiness to go see the fish while I was still upset as fuck because I was so hungry. So like, just, to some people, that 0, getting them to like anything is like a monumental feat.
Yeah. And I deal with a similar thing. Like sometimes I really struggle to just assert my will with the kids, you know? Like I struggle to just be like, no.
Yeah, I know. That's a tough fucking thing, like, man.
She's gotten sick like every 2 weeks, our little one. Damn. And like every single time it happens, I'm like, man, this is crazy. Like I'm about to just like wear a mask when I'm around them. Cause like 2 times within the past like 5 months, I got sick because of one of the kids. Right? Yeah. And so I'm like, I got to stop. I can't afford to like be sick for a week and be behind on content and be dragging and whatnot and all my travel that I do. Like I can't be sick. And so like, I'm like, all right, I got to like wear a mask when I'm around them right now or whatever. And then like, I don't do that. And then I'm like, all right, well then I got to keep my distance a little bit. And then the little one will be like, Kyle, come cuddle. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, no, you got to.
And it's like, I don't have the ability to be like, nah.
I shut that shit down heavy. Like, if Molly's sick, there's no kissing that week. If the kids are sick, nah, you're not even getting a hug. I'm sleeping the other way in bed. Like, I'm straight on my gangster shit where I'm like, I'm not getting sick. And I'll really stay firm on that shit where I'm not like getting close to anybody in the house. But then, I mean, like, to your point, it's hard to say no to some of that shit. But I think I've kind of perfected. So like back to the original point, I think I've kind of perfected like I just don't give a fuck enough about really anything to let anything affect me too much that like I'll get so upset about it, which is good and bad. Because like Molly will get mad at me about some shit that I'm supposed to like get mad about, or I didn't do some shit. And I'll really just be like, damn, I kind of just don't give a fuck at all. And like, I guess it's good for me because I'll never be in that situation where like I'll get caught up in gossip or some petty shit, because it's just like, I don't have time to give a fuck about anything else other than shit that's like important to me, you know?
Yeah, so for me, like I said before, I've perfected the art of when I'm in any kind of a negative mood,
Mm-hmm.
like if I'm angry, if I'm pissed off, whatever, I perfected the art of like, I'm just going to shut the hell up.
Yeah.
Like, I really internalized that argument you hear from when you're a kid. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it. Don't say
Yeah.
anything, you know?
Yep. Yep.
That's me. Like, I'll just shut up.
Yeah.
And so, and you could ask Crystal, she could probably tell from a mile away, like when I'm not feeling some shit because
Yep.
I just won't say anything for 2 hours.
I've seen it a couple times, yeah.
Oh yeah, you've seen it. You've seen
Yep.
it. It's never because of something you did though. It's always because of some other shit.
Yep.
But then you'll know when I'm like, oh, he's in shutdown mode type
100%,
shit.
100%. Yeah.
So
But
everybody knows that about me, who's close to me,
Mhm.
and so they know that like that's the best that I can off. Right? Like if I'm actually pissed about something, I'm not gonna yell and rant and rave and put it on somebody else. You know, it's just like I'll handle this shit, but I need a little bit of time right now.
Yeah. No, that's a good trait I feel like to have, is to at least like realize where you're at, you know, and you like can embrace that shit enough to be like, all right, I'm gonna not get caught up in any of this other shit. I'm gonna just be in my zone type of shit.
Yeah, and I have I will say though, I take it to a kind of an absurd extent, and this is controversial as hell, but like I felt like this throughout my whole life, even when it comes to shit where people would give you the advice of like, nah, you got to go talk to somebody or whatever.
Mhm.
Like, and because mental health is a huge issue, and
Yeah.
you know, people deal with all sorts of anxiety, depression, whatever.
100%.
And like for some people, definitely recommend if they need to go to a therapist or whatever. It's like do your thing. If you need to get medicine, like do your thing. I'm with you 100%.
Mhm.
But if you are somebody who is not clinically depressed or dealing with anxiety or whatever, if you're just if just sometimes you feel some type of way, I would actively recommend people do the thing I just described because honestly, and this is the thing like nobody tells you, I don't buy the idea that like, oh, if trauma's with you, it stays with you forever. No, like you'll get over that shit. Time really does heal all wounds.
Yeah.
So if you could just shut up and sort of stiff upper lip and take it for a hot minute, like you're gonna be okay. Like think about how many times in your life you've had some heated emotion because of something and it felt so raw and like, oh, right?
Yep. Yep.
And then it was just gone. Like 2 days later, I'd ask you, yo, what was that thing you were upset about? And you're like,
I don't even remember. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, it's even like in a weird way, I think about this shit with like, I mean, not to get morbid, but like when my grandma passed away, like I was upset. You know, I was like really, really sad about that shit. And then I spoke to someone who had someone close to them pass away, and they were like, time will heal this shit, man. And I was like, all right, fuck you for saying that shit right now. But literally, like, as years went on, like, you know, I missed my grandma, but like, it's not as sad as the day she died, you know, like.
Of course, man. You're talking to somebody, you know, I lost my dad when I was young, you know, and like, of course, that's what time does. It doesn't matter. If somebody's listening to this right now and they're going through like a terrible breakup or something, like, you're going to be, I promise you're going to be okay.
Exactly.
Right now, you might be thinking, oh my God, she's all I care about. I can't eat. I can't sleep. I can't. Dog, you're going to be good.
Yeah. There's going to be a, like, yo, shout out to Red Robin. There's going to be a fucking new Red Robin burger or some shit that you see in 2 weeks that, like, you'll see that shit. And if you're thinking about a girlfriend right now, you'll be like, you'll forget about her because they're going to come out with some banging ass burger that you forget about this bitch.
Look, what I tell people is the longest it could ever be to deal with some shit like some serious shit where you really feel like, damn, I'm never going to be the same. No. The longest it could ever take is like a year or two. And then after a year or two, you're good, you know? And in most cases, it'll literally be like a couple days or a couple weeks, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I've never been to a therapist or that type of shit, but Molly's always said, like, let's go to marriage counseling, even like though we're good and just talk it out. People, I'm like, fuck all that shit, because I always feel like therapists and psychiatrists, all that shit, they're more fucked up than you probably are.
I mean, they're normal people, dude. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
People can give you, like, there's some practical advice that people can give people that helps them if they actually try to apply it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all anybody can ever give you. You know what I'm saying? Like, this person is not a magic wizard, you know? And a lot of this stuff, being that I originally went to school for psychology, my original major in college was psychology, so I know a thing or two about psychology. And the fact of the matter is, a lot of the stuff that's in the DSM, which is the, you know, psychological Bible type thing, Dick sucking manual. A lot of the stuff in the dick sucking manual is just, it's really not even like scientifically proven, you know? So
It's just all feelings and shit.
yeah, it's conceptualizing the way people interpret the world and how they feel and stuff. And like it's been flawed throughout history. I mean, there was a time where they had gayness as like an issue, like a negative thing,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a
yeah.
pathology or whatever in the DSM. And it's like, no, you got that wrong. And a lot of the shit going on today, there's different schools of thought in psychology. You can go to one kind of psychologist and they tell you one thing, you go to another kind, they tell you something else. It's like everybody's just trying to give advice. And
Yeah.
like, if people feel like they want to go pay a stranger who's an expert to give them some advice, by all means, go right ahead. But don't pretend like, no, this work. I guarantee you, if there was a study on the percentage of married couples that went to couples counseling and then like that just fixed everything, oh man, it's got to be a tiny percentage if that's the case, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with you. And I didn't watch it, but kind of fuck Jonah Hill because he came out with some Netflix shit where like, he's talking to a psychologist, and I kind of was like, fuck you, dude. Like, for one, making a documentary out of that shit, and I don't give a fuck if you have any problems, because fuck you.
Yeah,
He had like some Netflix documentary where he went to a psychologist, and it's like in black and white, and he put the whole shit out there, and I kind of like was like, good for you, you got help, but then also kind of fuck you because I don't give a shit about this, and I just don't have sympathy for a lot of the fucking celebrities that like put their whole shit out there. But
yeah,
for doing it.
it's hard to feel bad for somebody who is dealing with those sorts of issues, but they also have all the money in the world and fame.
Yep.
Because it's like there are people who are dealing with that and have none of the money and none of the fame.
Yep. That's what one of my friends sent me. It was like Shark Tank. The guy from who created the Ring camera went on there and like didn't get a deal. And then there was some like motivational Instagram video of like this sad music playing, and it showed the Ring camera guy now as like a shark because he obviously made so much money from it, and like Richard Branson invested with him, and he was like, "This, look at this is cool." And I was like, "Fuck that guy so hard," because there's some dude in the fucking like city somewhere that's busting his ass, that isn't on Shark Tank, that isn't on some Instagram video, that's just fucking working his ass off, that can't get a fucking, like producer at ABC to hear his story or some shit. Like he doesn't have inventors and technology people to fucking make a Ring camera. So fuck that video so hard, and fuck the dude who started the Ring camera.
Yeah, I mean, you're making a point. I mean, this is capitalism, right? Like, so that guy is like he's the success story.
Yeah.
But what they don't tell you is the 30 people who work in his factory to make that ring light who are making like barely a living wage, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what they don't tell you is that, oh yeah, this guy quote unquote made it, but how many people didn't make it and how much surplus value is he extracting from these people?
Yeah.
Who, you know what I'm saying?
There's just there's so many videos on Instagram when they put that sad music to that shit and try to like reel you in with some words on the screen that's like, this guy's a father of 8 and he lost his leg, but he still has a company, and I'm like, damn, man, like I don't give a fuck.
It's funny though. It's interesting hearing you say all this because I'm a very weird case on issues like this because half the time I actually like motivational videos.
Yeah.
But then the other half the time I like demotivational videos.
What are demotivational?
Demotivational videos are like, you remember the movie Office Space?
Yeah.
Like that dude in Office Space. That's like a demotivational thing where it's everything's bullshit. Don't bust your ass. Do whatever you want to do. If you want to sit on the couch and drink a beer and watch TV and fart all day, God bless, do that. You'll be happy doing that. You know what I'm saying? So like, part of me loves the motivational shit. Like, yeah, let's go get it. Let's go build something. Let's live our dreams. Let's fight hard. So it's like the happy warrior type, like motivational stuff. And then I also love the shit that's like, hey, everything is bullshit. Let's just go relax and drink a beer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. And that's why, like, I saw one shit that was like, let's go back to, Sagar always says this shit that people should be wearing suits and all this shit. And then someone else tweeted some shit that was like, we're kind of getting too casual. And I kind of was like, who gives a fuck? Like, if you have to wear some professional shit to where you work and that's what's required, wear some professional shit. But like, if not, you can wear some chillin' shit doing what you have to do, then just wear some chillin' shit. Like, nothing's too serious that like you can't just wear some comfy ass shit doing what you're doing.
Yeah, I think I tend to agree with you. Most people are not getting paid nearly enough for the boss to be like, here's the dress code.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Now, if they told Steven Crowder, hey, you're about to get 50 million DZACs, bitch, you better put on a tie, I'd be like, you know what? I understand that.
I can't believe that dude. Are his videos like that convincing? Like, is he that $50 million for what he does? Like
50 million over 4 years, so or 5 years.
That's like on some like he's like fucking A-Rod or some shit. Like,
yeah, I mean, look, what it goes to show you is the conservatives, they just have so much money on their side because
seriously,
Steven Crowder and Ben Shapiro, they are like direct competitors to what I do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, but the thing is, they have some right-wing billionaire who just dumps money into their companies. And so they just get to live high on the hog because for those billionaires, they think like, I'm paying for the propaganda and it doesn't need to make a return on investment. Like, just say the shit I want you to say and you're good. But no billionaire is going to pay some lefties to go out there and say, hey, I think you should raise taxes on that billionaire who just gave me some money.
What do they do? It's the fucking pharmaceutical companies that pay like Michael Phelps to go and fucking promote, the vaccine or some shit like that.
Yeah, but that's different. I mean, obviously, I'd never take any money from Big Pharma. I'd never take any money from a Wall Street company. I'd never take any money from a defense contractor. Like he's taking direct corporate money. But like the analogous situation would be like if there was a left-wing billionaire. People always bring up George Soros because he funds like democratic causes, but he's not a lefty. He's just a Democrat, right? So it's like not the same. But in theory, if there's like an actual left-wing billionaire, like a socialist billionaire out there, there just aren't that many or maybe even any who will pay you to do left-wing stuff. And because part and parcel of left-wing ideas is, hey, I think we should raise taxes on billionaires.
Yeah.
And take that money and put it towards healthcare for everybody and put it towards college for everybody. And no billionaire wants to pay somebody to say, hey,
come
you should be more poor.
Yeah. Come take more of my money.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, that's why we're stuck with basically the subscriber model. Like people, small dollar donations, people pay $2 a month or $5 a month or whatever. And if they like the content, they pay it. And it's basically like a tip. And that's what the left has to do. And we're never going to win in the money game. That's obvious, It's just a matter of you got to win in the numbers game in terms of like audience size and stuff.
Is that one dude still around, Charlie Kirk? Does he still do shit?
Yeah, so he's the head of what's called TPUSA, Turning Point USA, I think it's called. And it's basically like a right-wing youth organization. So it's like goes to colleges and they get these like
so he's getting bread too.
Yeah, well, he's also he has a sugar daddy billionaire who funds his whole thing. So they all got big money behind them. There's some that are like more independent than others, but most of them have some semblance of big money behind them.
That's wild.
Yeah. Yeah, It is. All right, well, we've hit almost 2 hours, dude. We could wrap this biznatch up.
I wanted to say one more fuck you to my orange juice company because there's mad videos going around saying that like it's like poisonous juice in my orange juice. I don't know which company it is. What I get? Simply, I don't know. One of the orange
Simply
juices.
Orange?
Simply Orange. Yeah. There's like mad videos going around now saying that like they put some poisonous shit or natural shit in it. So like for that reason, because I've seen multiple videos, I can't drink the shit anymore. It's just like I don't really know the full effect of what's in the shit, but there's just enough videos for me to be like, there's probably some bad shit in here.
Well, they speaking of, I saw this weekend it was either the FDA or the USDA that said we're cracking down on the misuse of the organic label. Remember we had that conversation a while ago, like when something says organic?
Yeah.
Like it's not actually organic. Like they just put that shit on there and lie about it.
Oh, really?
And now the USDA finally is cracking down and they're saying, no, you actually have to meet these standards to be organic. And they had a list of things to make it organic. Because, to this point, they just lie. They just say something's organic, but it's not organic at all.
Well, I think one of the things, and again, I like kind of just like browsed over the video, but it says like natural flavors or some shit on the orange juice. which I think there's something around that where like the flavors aren't natural and there's some like, processed shit. But in addition to that, they said there was some like, I don't know, like poisonous shit in there. And I kind of was like, and it's weird because I haven't drank that shit in a while. And then randomly I bought that shit a couple days ago. And it could have been because I had like 7 or 8 slices of pizza, but my stomach was OD fucked up the next day. And I think it was the pizza, but it could have been the orange juice. And I might have had the poisonous batch of that orange juice. But my stomach, I fuck with it in the sense that like it's sensitive enough where I eat some shit where it's like, we're going to get rid of this shit right away and fuck you up and you're going to be in pain. But it's also strong enough where if that was really some poisonous shit, I didn't die from it. It just made me like shit it all out. Like I think I got a good hand from God on my body. Because my shit takes care of me.
I got the exact opposite thing going on. You know that. I have a stomach of steel.
Yeah.
Like I very rarely throw up or have diarrhea or whatever. It's a very like solid steel stomach.
I guess, I want that. I feel like we're on opposite sides of the spectrum, but still in good. Like I wouldn't want to be in between anywhere where we are. Because you can, I've seen you eat some shit and I'm like, damn, if I ate that shit, I'd be shitting right now in my pants and then on the flip side, I've eaten that shit and have been shitting in my pants.
Yeah, well, we had remember when we had I think we did a Twitter poll on it too. Would you rather be constipated or have diarrhea? And you were like, obviously diarrhea. That? You crushed me on that shit.
Diarrhea?
Everybody said diarrhea, and I said constipation. And like, then we realized like you said diarrhea because
okay, good.
You have it from time to time, and you're like, it's just fine. I just get it all out, and sometimes it's even nice to just like release that.
It's kind of enjoyable. Like that shit like flows through you like a fountain soda machine. Like it's just the way your like blood opens up, just like the Red Sea and that whole shit. Just like it just like flows out of you. The shit kind of like is like okay.
But for me, the reason why I said constipation is because I very rarely have diarrhea, so if I actually have it, like I'm super fucked up, like I'm really sick or really food poisoned, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm used to being like at least a little constipated. So to me, I just think like this is just normal, you know? So to me, that's nothing.
Yeah, but there also is no worse feeling than having to clench your butt cheeks to like rush to a bathroom toilet.
Oh yeah, that's way worse than having to like sit on the toilet and push for a little extra longer.
Yes, that moment of like not knowing if you're going to make it to the bathroom in time and you're like banging into the corner of the wall to try and like get to the toilet. And then that timer just like goes off right when you sit down is rough. Yeah. It's a scary moment. It's like trying to beat the shot clock in the NBA. It's like, is the ball out of your fingertips when you reach the toilet or is some going to get in your underwear?
Yeah, and I would much rather have diarrhea or constipation over throwing up, because throwing up to this day remains undefeated as the worst possible fucking thing ever.
Especially the dry heaving shit is, when you're throwing up like nothing.
Oh my God.
And you just have
it's the worst. Oh, it's the worst, man. Yeah. It's so bad.
I got one more. Did you see Kendall Jenner was like wearing a lion on her side at the fashion show?
What? No.
Yeah, she's at Fashion Week in Paris, and she's deadass wearing a lion's head on her fucking dress.
Oh,
she looks like
asking for outrage at that point, right?
Yeah. I feel like when you do shit like that, you're looking for attention, you're looking for clicks and articles and to stay relevant. But like, it's just such a fucking show we're living in right now. So Molly told me that like we're kind of becoming like the Hunger Games in like how our world is becoming. And I said it's almost like also that movie where The Purge.
Yeah.
Where like that's like it's becoming like the fucking haves and the haves not, and shit's just getting weird out there, man.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, you know what you reminded me of? Remember when in the middle of the pandemic, when everybody was locked down and in their house, Kim Kardashian went to a private island and held like a birthday party and was like tweeting about it and Instagramming about it?
Yep.
Yeah, that's the exact. Everybody was so mad because they were like, this bitch.
They're just so tone deaf.
so tone deaf. Like, come on, you know, if you're wearing a lion, first of all, you're gonna look ridiculous. Second of all, everybody's gonna shit on you.
Bro, she had a fucking black dress on with a lion hanging off of that shit. Like, it was a dead ass lion's head, and like, real or not, what the fuck? Like I just can't. Like, what? How did she's got a costume person or fucking designer or stylist, and how are they going through a closet and it's just like dress, red dress, blue dress, black shit with a lion head on it, purple dress, just black shit with the lion.
I don't know, like, either they're, like you said, purposely doing it for attention, or when you get hit a certain level of wealth, you just lose all touch with reality. Because
I guess so.
This happened with Kim too. She got in trouble because she said something kind of recently where she was like, people just don't want to work these days.
Yeah.
And it's like, you dumb bitch.
Yeah.
First of all, you got $1 billion because you started off sucking Ray J's dick and hanging out with Paris Hilton. And then now you got people busting their ass all over this country and barely getting by, if they're getting by at all. And you have the nerve to be like, nah, people don't want to work. Everybody should suck Ray J's dick.
Yeah, it's sad. But whatever, fuck that bitch.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll wrap it up on that note. We love you guys. We'll talk to y'all soon. It was good to get the podcast back. Oh, we should tell everybody.
Yeah.
You're going to be with me in Austin.
I'm pumped up, man. I'm always grateful for the invite,
too,
dude, and I'm excited to like watch you do your shit.
Yeah, so I've mentioned it a couple times on air, but like, so we're doing a live show for Breaking Points at the Paramount Theater. By the way, that show is almost sold out.
That's what's up.
I don't know when this podcast we're doing now is going to release. Yeah, I think. Oh, it'll be before the show. So anyway, Paramount Theater
that's
in
just
Austin.
Not for a minute, right?
February 3rd is when
up.
it is. Yeah, so it's coming up. But I mean, we're kind of close to it right now.
Yeah.
But so people, Paramount Theater, Austin, February 3rd. I think doors open at 6:30. Shows at 7:30. Go get tickets for that. That'll be fun. The live show will be fun. And then also, I'm gonna do Rogan. That'll be fun. It should be interesting because him and I have more disagreements than the last time we were did a podcast. So I'll probably bring up DeSantis and talk to him about DeSantis. Maybe some other issues that he changed his mind on UBI, universal basic income. Maybe bring that up or something. I want to tell him, like, I want to give him all that Biden's actually done, because I feel like he talks a lot about politics, but like I don't think he knows much about the specific policies that Biden implemented. So I want to tell him what was implemented and see what his reaction is.
So Biden's done good shit, right? Like, I mean, for being half alive.
Yeah. So I'm going to give both the good and the bad. And there's a decent amount of good, but there's also a lot of bad.
Yeah.
And so I just want to give like a full, like, people can have whatever opinion they want to have, right? But you need to actually know the information first.
Yeah.
And I feel like people love commenting on it. They just don't even know.
Yeah.
Forget not even knowing half the shit that he did. People can't name like 10% of the shit he did.
Yep.
And they have strong ass opinions. So I want to tell Joe all of it and be like, here's what actually like happened, you know?
Yeah. I think just the optics look so bad with Biden that like you don't even.
Well, that's what he's stuck on too. It's like he's just a zombie, so like he's a bad president. So
it's hard to get past that shit, man. When you see the fucking birthday video, and then did you know there was a pre-birthday video to that shit?
No, I did not. No, what did he do?
There was another birthday video where he was singing to a bitch right in her face. He was singing to a lady right in her face, and forgot her shit. And she looked at him, and I couldn't find the video, but I gotta find it. But he's singing dead ass right into her face and forgets her name. And she hit him with a look like, you don't even know my shit?
I need to see this video.
Yo, I couldn't find it. But there's another shit. So he did it twice. So
I need to see this.
Shit like that.
That's so funny.
It's hard to even be like, all right, he passed some tax shit. Like,
yeah, I know.
Like, how do you get past that? How do you get past the birthday video or falling on a bicycle to then tell me he did some good shit? I don't know. I gotta find that video because this shit was mad funny.
My only reaction to that is the shit that's actually done policy-wise impacts everybody in the country.
Yeah.
And so like, the policy stuff matters the most of everything.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's
Having
true.
said that, like the point Joe always goes back to is like, how much is he really in control of anyway? Like, is he actually making any of these decisions?
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean, the student debt shit he got kind of deboed on.
yeah, I mean, it's still got to go through the Supreme Court, but he's still got moves. It's just a matter of if he's going to be ballsy enough to do it. Like, he could
Yeah.
still eliminate it, but he would need to kind of double down in a way and redo the executive order and do it under the Higher Education Act. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
the way he did it was kind of sketchy. It was with, like, it was because of COVID that he did it. He used, like, a COVID justification to do it. But
Yeah.
anyway, like, all these things, like, it doesn't matter if it's him or if it's the people around him, because, like, okay, whatever. Then the whole team in the White House did X, Y, and Z. And, like, people need to know it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna tell him all that. And then also, do you know the YouTuber RM Brown or no?
Arnon Brown?
RM, like the letter R, the letter M, and then Brown. His name's
No.
Ryan.
Yeah, no, I don't
Okay,
know.
well, first of all, you should watch some of his shit because he's
Mhm.
fucking hilarious, and I think you'd like him. He's got the kind of humor that you and I like.
Okay.
But we're also gonna meet with him when we're there and hang out with
Oh,
him. So
that's what's up.
yeah, that'll
He's
be
out in
fun.
Austin?
Yeah, he lives in Austin.
Oh, that's dope. Yeah, I'm gonna watch his shit so I'm like up to speed on what the fuck he does.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite YouTubers. He's just a cool dude.
Does
He's
he
a
just
cool dude.
talk or does he do comedy?
It's like political comedy a little
Oh,
bit. Like
dope.
he kind of covers right-wing psychos, but like he's really funny. And
Okay,
so his videos are just hilarious. They're some of my favorite YouTube videos. So yeah, we're
I'm
gonna hang
pumped
out
up.
with him
I'm
too
just
while we're there.
happy to be there.
Yeah, no, I'm excited too, man. I'm getting excited.
It's gonna be dope, and we crush some barbecue food and
Hell yes. We got to go back to that place we went last time. What was it called? Cooper's or something?
yeah, I think so. Yeah, because we were talking about the tires, like Cooper's tires or some shit.
Yes, it was so good. Holy shit.
So
We'll get a
banging.
recommendation if any other place is better, but it's gonna be hard to top that place. That place
Nah,
was top
and it
notch.
was like convenient. That shit was right there. It was banging and like
We're
yeah,
not
that
at the
shit-
same hotel though, but we could still get there. It's no problem.
Yeah, no. I feel like anywhere out there you could go to like Dan's Dick House and like that shit would be fucking banging as fuck.
Facts.
Or like
Absolutely.
Bubba's Dick House.
All right, guys. We love y'all. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.